In this video, I'm going to be taking you guys along with me in a day in my life using the Tesla Model 3 long range. So the point of this video is to get a sense of the battery life, how much I use it, how I use it, so that if you're looking at buying a Tesla Model 3, you kind of know what to expect. So just for some context, I have the 2023 Tesla Model 3 long range. And just opening up the Tesla app, I charge my Tesla to 70% every night. So when I wake up in the morning, the car is set to 70% charge. I feel like this is a good amount of charge for me because it gets me more than enough range that I need to get to and from campus multiple times, or if I need to take a long trip, let's say an emergency happens, I can do that no problem without having to worry about charging or supercharging somewhere. Another thing to note is that it's December 6th in Canada, and what that means is that it's very, very cold. Now we all know that electric cars are not as efficient in cold weather, so that's going to be a factor going along in this day. To me personally, it hasn't made much of a difference in my day-to-day driving, but I thought I should mention it. Temperature right now is actually 0 degrees Celsius and it feels like -3. So I'm not even gonna lie, not too cold for December in Canada, but pretty cold for an electric car. So this is going to be a pretty typical day for me. I'm a university student, so basically what I use the car for is getting from my house to university and back. I'm also a student athlete, so that means I have practices, I have lifts, I have physio, things that I need to go back and forth from. So that's basically how I use the car on a daily basis. The only thing different today is that I don't have any breakfast in my house, didn't do the groceries yet. So we're gonna be driving to Tim Hortons to get a little bit of breakfast. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. Alright, so like I said, Tesla set to 70% every single morning. And what 70% gets us is 375 kilometers. Now, I like to keep it set to percentage because the kilometers is just not that accurate. We have the Tesla Model 3, and it's the dual motor. And what I also have is I have the acceleration boost. It's like an upgrade in the software. And basically what that does is basically just makes the car a lot faster. I think it improves the 0 to 60 time from 4.4 seconds to about 3.7 if I'm not mistaken, and it does take a little bit of hit on the battery, but it honestly makes the car a lot more fun to drive. So just factor that into some of these range estimates and whatnot, that I do have the acceleration boost equipped, which is not the case on most Model 3s. So yeah, so the first trip of the day is going to Tim Hortons, and that's basically just because I don't have breakfast right now, no groceries in the house. It's about 3 minutes away. It's only a 900-meter drive, very, very short. It's literally just right around the corner, and it's saying that I'll get there with 70%. The temperature right now is about 0 degrees Celsius. In the car, it's about 12 degrees Celsius. I don't have winter tires on the car yet. I'm getting those next week, so I just have the regular 18-inch aero wheels. And yeah, that's gonna be the first trip, so let's get going. The bag is secured. So we're back already. Very, very short trip. Like I said, basically just down the street to Tim Hortons, right back. Temperature set to 21.5 degrees Celsius. And if you look at that, we are still at 70%. Like I said, super, super short trip. So that was the first trip of the day. All right, real thing, if you guys are considering buying a Tesla, it doesn't have to be a Tesla Model 3. It could be any Tesla. I'm going to link down my referral code below. Basically, if you order your Tesla using my referral code, you get to save a bunch of money. You get to save up to, I think, $650 and get free self-driving, which is like, in Canada at least, it's like a $12,000 upgrade. You get that for free for 3 months, and you save hundreds of dollars off your car. It doesn't cost you anything. It's a way to support the channel. So if you're considering buying yourself a Tesla, make sure you use my referral link. It's going to be linked right below in the description. Let's get back to the video. All right, so I actually use the Tesla mobile connector to charge the car, and I just plug that into the regular wall outlet. I'm not gonna lie, it is slow. It is very, very slow. I do not recommend the Tesla wall connector plugged into just like the regular 110 volt outlet. I don't really have a choice because I'm in a student house that I'm renting, and I'm gonna be out of here in I think 5 months. So I didn't really have the option to install any sort of other plug. Since I drive so little, it's not terrible because it gets me, let's say I drive to about 55%. If I plug it in at around 8 p.m. overnight, it'll get me back to 70%. Like if I need to charge up more than basically like 12, 13% overnight, especially in the winter when the battery's cold, forget about it. Like it's not happening. But with that being said, honestly, it gets the job done for me for the next couple months. But if I were to recommend something, I would definitely not recommend this as a long-term solution. Honestly, it's worth it just investing in getting one installed into your house properly rather than using this as a full-time solution. So for the second trip of the day, I need to get to campus because I have physio. Like I said, I'm a student athlete, so got to take care of the body. Usually have physio sometime between 12 to 1. So it's currently 11:45 a.m. and I'm about to get ready to head to physio. So the car right now is at 69%, started off at 70 for the day. So like I said before, most of my driving is just to and from campus. Physio's on campus. So I'm about to head there right now. So what the GPS is saying is that it's about 9 minutes away and it's only going to take 1% battery. It's pretty good if you ask me. So yeah, let's head to physio. So we're here at 69%, a little bit above what it predicted, which is always nice to see. And the one thing that I love about Teslas is the trunk space, more specifically the sub trunk, because I got this camera with me. I didn't bring a bag and I want to keep it in the car, but I want to kind of hide it because like ain't nobody wants an expensive camera just laying out in the car. So I'm going to put it in the sub trunk. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we back. Car's at 68% right now. It's been on Sentry mode, and the one thing about Sentry mode is that, yes, it's useful, but it does drain very, very slightly. Like it is like well, obviously it drains because it's using energy to like monitor the car, but I think it's worth it. Like especially on campus or stuff, like I like to keep it on just for some peace of mind. Sentry mode I think is good for that. If you remember, before physio, we got here, it was about 12. Right now it's 149, and we dropped 1%, which is not bad. Not bad at all. All right, so we're going to get food. Wasn't planned. And we're going to get food 3 kilometers away. We're at 67% battery, 8 minutes. So it's saying that we're going to get there with 66%. And then got to drop these guys back home. Trips like these just run down the battery a little bit, but I'm not going to lie, we have a lot of battery to spare, so it's all good. All right, real quick interruption, folks. If you guys have noticed some of the gear that I'm wearing today, that's because I started my own clothing line, and it's called Strive. So if you've been liking any of it, this is the windbreaker. Earlier in the video I was wearing the hoodie. I'm gonna leave it linked down below with a discount code so that you can pick up your own Strive gear. It's gonna help support me, it's gonna help support my business, as well as show your love for the channel. So I'm gonna make sure I include a discount code down below for y'all. So if you like the gear, make sure you check it out. All right, so I'm not gonna lie, quite a bit of impromptu, unplanned driving today. After physio, I went to my friend's house, then we went to get food, then we went to the bank, got to do some errands, dropped them back at their house, and now I'm back at my house. So the nice thing is that you don't have to be in the car to check the battery. You can just check it from the app. So we're currently at 63% battery for the day. We started off at 70, we drove quite a bit, and we're still at 63%. And the nice thing is that you can always plug in your car. I'm not gonna plug it in right now because I like to plug it in overnight because it's cheaper electricity costs. But if I had to plug it in right now, I still could easily do that. We got a couple more trips today. We got one to go to some weightlifting for basketball. And then me and my friends are actually going out tonight. So by the end of the day, we should have a good idea of how much battery we go through on a daily basis. Again, this is like, it is like a normal day, but like normal days are not really scripted or planned. So for example, like when I went out today with my friends, like it's not planned, but also having a car that takes electricity, you don't think about these things because it's so much cheaper than gas. All right, so real quick, I just wanted to talk a little bit about range anxiety. What it is, should you be concerned about it? Is it a real thing? Basically, what range anxiety is always just being anxious about the state of charge on your car. how much range you have, if you're going to have enough range, basically just not having peace of mind regarding that whole subject. Now, disclaimer, I'm speaking from the Tesla Model 3 long range, so that might bias my range anxiety a little bit, but nonetheless, I don't think that it's that big of a deal. As you've seen so far, the way that I drive my car is to and from campus. There's frequent times where I'm getting in and out the car, so it's turning off, it's turning back on. I'm not going too far. I might take those trips quite often, like 3-4 times a day, but I'm not going very, very long distances. And I'm also not driving very fast. I'm driving in city roads where the speed limit is like 50 or 60. It's very, very like casual driving. So with that being said, I will say that having an electric car, you start looking at the battery a lot. Like when I was driving my gas vehicle, there would not be a lot of times where I'd be looking at the gas tank. It would give me the sign like I gotta fill up, and then that's when I'd like be like, okay, let me get to a gas station. But it wasn't really a big deal because one, gas stations are available literally everywhere, and two, it takes like a minute to fully fill up your car with gas. So that's not the case with electric cars. Chargers are obviously not as available as gas stations, and the 110 volt like wall plug charger that I have at home is not the fastest charger in the world, obviously. So I wouldn't say the term is range anxiety, but I think it's just more range mindfulness. It takes a little bit more planning. It means that your trips have to be a little bit more thought out, and you have to think about them maybe a day or two in advance to make sure that you have enough range to get to where you want to get to, especially if you're taking like a road trip or something. But honestly, I don't think that range anxiety should be something that you should be concerned about at all. All right, so it's currently 5:18. We are back in the car. Car's at 63%. It's getting dark. It's getting dark early these days up in Canada. And we are back on the way to campus for a little weightlifting session with the basketball team. Student athlete life means that you're basically going to and from campus quite often. And there's a lot of traffic for some reason. So overall, we've used 8% during the day, which is not bad, honestly. So since last charge, it says we've driven 23 kilometers. We've used 4 kilowatt hours at an average of 186 kilowatts per kilometer. Now, if you're a stat nerd, you can do what you want with those numbers. So we back at the crib now. And as you can see, the car is at 60%, but I just wanted to show you all this, that my acceleration settings are set to sport instead of chill. Now, since this is the Model 3 long range with the acceleration boost, that's why it says sport. If you don't have the acceleration boost, it's just gonna say standard. So yeah, I just wanted to show you all that because if I were to set it to chill, then obviously the range would probably be a little bit better. But like I said, I got the acceleration boost for a reason. I like to use it, so that's why I set it to sport. And with all this driving, we're still at 60%, so not bad at all. And also, just so you can see, 60% means about 321 kilometers of range. Like I said, it's not the most accurate thing, but it is an estimated rating, whatever. We'll go into the consumption tab as well. And if we go to the consumption, you can see that projected 203 kilometers. The average is 182 kilowatts per hour. Now, to be honest, I don't really look at these graphs that much. I kind of just find them a little bit difficult to read. And I'd rather honestly just not spend my energy and mental capacity worrying about all these graphs. But what I do like is that when it's in drive, it'll give you tips on how you can better preserve your range. All right, folks, so it's the next day, and I wanted to go over what happened with the Tesla at night, how much battery we left off the night with, and what's it this morning. So basically, like I said, I went out last night with my friends. I had to drive from my house to my friend's house, which is on the other side of campus, which is about a 15-minute drive. And then from there, we went to the local bar that we were going to. From there, I stayed there. The car was parked over there for about 2 hours in Sentry mode. And then after the night was done, I went through the McDonald's drive-thru, and then I got home. So all in all, when I got home, the car was at 54%. That means that it drained 16% from when I first initially took it out in the morning at 70% to the end of the night. 16% for the whole day. I got home pretty late yesterday, so I plugged the car in again in the wall outlet, the mobile connector, at around 1:30 a.m. It's currently just about noon, and the car is fully charged back up to 70%. So that means overnight, until I need to use the car again, which is right now, it added 13 kilowatt hours. And this is roughly in a span of around 11 hours or so. Now, before we go, a question that I get asked a lot is how much does it cost me to like run this car, to charge it? How much does electricity cost? All that. So I got the stats on my phone right here, all in the Tesla app. Obviously, supercharging is much more expensive than home charging. So, for example, the cost per kilowatt hour for supercharging is 59 cents on average, versus the cost at home for charging is only 8 cents. So that's a huge difference. So for me, if we take a look at the month of December, the total cost that I spent charging the car at home was $14 in the month. I spent an additional $39 supercharging in the whole month of November. That means that I spent a total of $54 charging the car both at home and supercharging. Now, the estimate that it gives me on the app is that the gas equivalent would have been $250, making us have saved $196 throughout the month. Now, obviously, these calculations are going to vary based on how much electricity costs in your jurisdiction, in your municipality. Typically, I charge the car overnight, which is during the off-peak hours, which makes it even cheaper for me. So all of that stuff you just have to consider when basing your budget around that. So yeah, basically, on average, you're saving about $200 to $250 a month every single month on gas savings going electric, based on how I drive, based on how I charge the car, and based on my usage. All right, folks, that brings me to the end of this video. If you stuck around, make sure you click that like button and that subscribe button because it helps me and the channel a ton. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it informative, and I'll see you in the next video.